Love at first sight is not entirely based on lust, it's also about the refreshing wind in the rice fields that day, the warm light on the ground, and the moment he turned his head when he took off his turban.
I'm sorry. I've done everything I could to get this thing started.
William was smitten. The sweet smile made him dizzy. He only thought of helping the girl start the vehicle, but he forgot that by doing so, he missed the chance to get her contact information. Mistakes are temporary regrets, but missing out could be forever. Just as William was deeply regretful, the sound of wheels came from far and near behind him. William was overjoyed, smelling the fragrance in the soil. They chatted. Turns out his name is Adeline, but friends call her Della. 5 weeks later, William and Della fell in love. They took pictures in the field together, went on a jungle tour together, and planned a beautiful future together. In William's heart, Della is like a soft yet intense light. The softness is that she always accidentally hurts herself, and the intensity is, she illuminated William's entire life. That day, William quietly prepared a wedding ring, ready to give Della a surprise, but what he didn't know was, when Della saw the ring in his hand from a distance, she looked sad. She left William, who was full of joy and waiting, and disappeared from his life. It may take only a day to fall in love with someone, but it takes a lifetime to forget someone. William spent more than 40 years, but still can't let go in countless days and nights. He is well known in the field of astronomy, because he discovered a comet that is about to pass by Earth. He named it Della. That day, his wife asked why he called it Della. William lied and said it was to commemorate his grandmother. And on the same day at a New Year's party, a young woman with a good figure was walking towards him. She looked exactly like Della from more than 40 years ago, but the people around her all called her Jenny. She was chatting with friends. A man came up to chat her up. Jenny looked the man up and down. She accurately stated all his information, even recognized the vintage watch on his hand. The man was a bit surprised. Without certain experience and accumulation, this is almost impossible to do, especially when the other party looks just like a young girl. Suddenly through the crowd, a pair of passionate eyes came over. Jenny looked up. Their eyes met. Both had their own intentions. It's just a pity that the other party seems to have a good partner already. The party ended. Jenny was about to go home. It's rare to meet a girl who makes your heart beat. Of course, Ellie wouldn't miss it. With his witty and humorous talk, he found out the girl's name was Jenny, and successfully made her laugh. Out of the elevator, Jenny reminded Ellie, shouldn't leave her female companion alone upstairs. Ellie laughed, explained that she was just a regular friend. A hint of joy surged in his heart, but Jenny didn't respond. Faced with Ellie's retention, she still stubbornly got on the car to go home. Just like Della 40 years ago, she seemed to be afraid of something. The next day, an old man with white hair walked into the restaurant, and when Jenny saw him, but showed a face of love.
Happy birthday, Mama. Thank you, darling.
The old man called Jenny Mom, rather than saying she is Jenny's daughter. It's more accurate to say she's Della's daughter. Yes, Jenny is the Della from over 40 years ago. She is already 107 years old this year. Time goes back 80 years. Della fell in love with an engineer at first sight. Soon they entered the marriage hall. However, shortly after she gave birth to her daughter, her husband died unexpectedly. Della also accidentally fell into the river just as her breathing stopped. A bolt of lightning just hit her. Since then, Della has gained the ability to stay young forever. But it is this enviable ability that tortured her unbearably. With the coming of age of her daughter, what followed was the suspicion of friends, the suspicion of the police, even the forced investigation by the serious crime team. Eyes in the dark are always watching him. He could become a guinea pig on the experimental table at any time. In order not to involve her daughter, Della said goodbye to her daughter with tears in her eyes. She put her wedding ring on her daughter. Since then, Della began her life of wandering. Every 10 years, he has to change his name, address, and image once, although this can effectively get rid of tracking. But at the same time, it plunged Della into endless loneliness. He dared not make friends, even more dare not contact family. The only companions he had were short-lived dogs. In this way, nearly 40 years have passed. Della met William. Their love was unstoppable. But when he saw the wedding ring in William's hand, but Della panicked. 40 years of lonely wandering. How she longed for a love that would last a lifetime. But she was a hunted alien. She couldn't put William in danger, nor could she share weal and woe with him. So she chose to flee in panic. But Della didn't know. Her unannounced departure left a permanent pain in William's heart. He never stopped looking for Della. All the gifts bestowed by fate have been secretly priced. Seeing her daughter again after more than 40 years, that ring is still dazzling. But time has already eroded her face. Hearing her daughter say she tripped on the steps, planning to find a nursing home, Della's heart is filled with mixed feelings. She is lonely, but she has to choose loneliness. Della now works in a library. One day, the librarian mentioned someone who planned to donate books. Until Ellie came, she knew that person was him. Of course, Ellie came prepared. He asked Della to agree to a date tomorrow. Otherwise, he would take back the donated books. Della didn't want to disappoint the librarian, so she had to reluctantly agree. The next day, Della went to the appointment as scheduled. But what she didn't expect was, the meeting place turned out to be an excavation site. Ellie told Della, her work is the opposite of her father's. He is passionate about excavation, but her father was fascinated by the mysterious sky. Looking at the huge ship buried deep in the ground in front of her, Della had to admit, this was indeed an unforgettable date. When she went back, Ellie found out that Della would be moving soon. Of course, she was not willing, and made Della laugh with a joke. Because of this, she got the chance to meet again. The next day, according to the agreed place, Ellie came to Ellie's home. Ellie prepared a sumptuous dinner. They talked about food at the dinner table, talked about music, and also talked about their father.
His claim to fame was that he discovered an unusual comet.
Unusual in what way?
Based on his calculations, it would pass by Earth in the winter of 1981.
Did it?
No. No. But that didn't stop us from looking for it every year. My dad's still looking.
Della listened quietly. The man in front of her was not only witty and humorous, but also exuded a romantic sentiment. For a moment, she was somewhat fascinated. After dinner, the atmosphere between the two began to become subtle.
This is my dad, William. Dad, this is Adeline.
Perhaps she has been lonely for too long. Della offered her first kiss in 40 years, but he would never think. When he got home again, the dog that had accompanied him for many years had reached the end of its life. This is what Della fears the most. Everything she loves is slowly withering. Only she still stands in place, suffering from the torment and pain of parting. She has no way to deal with it. She can only flip through the photos she has taken along the way. The photos evoke beautiful memories. She laughed, but it was fleeting. Everything is reminding her. Loneliness is the way she should go. So Della decided. She wants to leave here quietly. But just the day before moving, Ellie found him with a bouquet of flowers. But Della at this time is like a changed person. She passed by Ellie and told him,
"This isn't going to work. I'm moving."
Ellie stood there in a daze. She didn't know what she had done wrong. Watching Ellie leave in loss, Della had unspeakable bitterness. Her daughter noticed that she was troubled. She told Della, there are no longer people chasing her now. She can let go of her worries and go back to finding the feeling of loving someone again.
It's been such a long time.
Della's nose was sour. Yes, she has been lonely for too long. She was tired of the wandering life, tired of lying to kind people. Why can't she be brave for once? Finally, Della came to Ellie's studio. He sincerely apologized and frankly revealed his feelings. On the other end of the phone, Ellie finally forgave him. They came to a drive-in cinema. This is a place carefully selected by Della. Pull down the circuit breaker. The two looked up. A beautiful starry sky came into view. The soft starlight hit their faces. They looked at each other and smiled. At this moment, their hearts completely came together. Since they have confirmed their intentions, Ellie plans to let Della meet her parents. Della did not refuse. The door opened. Ellie's mother happily greeted her. After a simple introduction, the father also slowly came out.
This is my dad, William. Dad, this is Adeline.
Jenny, actually.
William's mind went blank all of a sudden, until his daughter reminded him. He pretended to be calm and apologized, and explained that he looked like an old friend of his. Della immediately held back her tears. When she heard the name Adeline, he explained that it was his mother. William couldn't believe they looked so alike. Della asked if they knew each other. William's voice was trembling.
Yeah. We were very close. I knew her in London.
Della's eyes were moist. She tried hard to echo William's words, and she even talked about her father in a serious manner. William seemed calm, but his heart was already in turmoil. Even though he believed Della's words, he kept repeating them.
Wow. We were very close.
You said that already. She passed away.
William's heart was beating wildly. He almost felt breathless. His voice also became a bit choked. Ellie noticed that the atmosphere was not right. She quickly interrupted the conversation on the pretext of being tired from driving. After the crowd dispersed, William's heart couldn't calm down for a long time. He just wanted an answer. But it seems that no one can answer now. He spent the night sleepless, until breakfast the next day. When his wife asked about his encounter with Della, William slowly recounted that distant and clear memory. He didn't mention their passionate love. He just talked about some trivial experiences. But he still showed a smile. Della stood outside in a daze for a long time. William's words were like steel needles, piercing her heart with pain. That day they were playing a trivia game. William, who had never lost before, unexpectedly lost to Della this time.
We used to have this family joke. What would happen first? Dad loses in Trivial Pursuit, or Della finally appears?
Della.
Yeah, you remember the comet I told you about, the one that my dad discovered? He named it Della C. 1981.